All right. So this is part two of Trophy Dark, the giant carcass. Um, Last time we left Pale, or actually, let me, why don't we have you introduce your characters again? Because a couple things have happened. Why don't you tell us about your character and where you're at right now? We'll start off with Pela.
So Pilla is a lost child, half animal, half human. Depends on the situation and what's going on. And so with Orlan, they ventured the carcass of this giant. Um, they had to find another entrance because they had a scuffle. They had been blocked at the entrance by some um, zealot of this giant, and they reached what could be the lungs of this giant creature, and they've been pressing on and
Awesome.
exploring so far.
And you're hearing a heartbeat, as we have a condition for. It's not your own.
Exactly, yes. I'm hearing a heartbeat uh, just for me in my head.
Hmm.
And I've been drunk or high for a while, but now I'm good.
Coming back down.
Mm, yes.
Awesome. How about Orlin? Where are we at with him?
Yeah, so I Orlin is an ox, just a big errant knight, basically, barrel chested, long hair, the whole shebang. And I believe the way we were doing it is he's kind of the kind of a guardian of Pela a little bit. So he's kind of just pretending to be confident in here to help keep Pela at ease, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, Other than some physical altercations at the original entrance to the Giant's Carcass, he's done a pretty good job of basically being a wall between Danger and Pela, and I think he wants to keep it that way, at least for now.
Hmm.
I don't have any conditions at the moment, but there is plenty more time for that.
Oh yeah. um, cool. Giant copper. I have the note giant copper ring written down. I'm not sure what that means. It'll come up. Uh, great,
We have a
great.
sigil as well.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Orlin is in
Yeah,
the possession of the High Sigil of Black Bile.
yeah. Written on some skin.
Yeah, just pulled that right off the wall like you
Yeah,
do.
awesome. And let's see. Pela's drive is to inscribe your mother's name in the Azure archives. Orland's drive is to arm the resistance against Lord Hefir's tyranny. Um, Pela, did we say anything about the Azure archives last time?
Not really. Um, the only thing about the drive that we said is this recurrent dream about their mother
Hmm.
as a kind of tether to, civilization or humanity or some past origin. Um, Nothing specifically about the Azure archive, though.
Awesome, cool. So let's see. We left off. We just left the lungs, which was ring two, and entering ring three, the spine. So you exited out of an opening in the lungs, and you were getting that wind blowing in and out, and the environment is pretty starkly different here. In the lungs, it was almost bright with the red blood pulsing through the globes there, and after leaving that. Um, Sort of climbing into around the spine. Uh, it's it's a lot more narrow here. It's there are it's a little more treacherous, I think. Uh, the walls here are soft with uh, bones jutting out of them. Uh, Everything's more of a deeper, darker red here. Um, Orlin, how do you feel kind of entering this more cramped space with your large size?
Um, I think that he's kind of used to, having to adjust himself to spaces,
Hmm.
but I between the way we came in and here, he's starting to get kind of a little bit paranoid, especially because he's like more or less full plated up, so
Hmm.
his movement's already restricted, and then
Mm,
being kind of pressed down upon on top of that is he's pretty worried, I think. He'd try not to show it, but
yeah. Pela, are you picking up on any of this? How are you dealing with the change in environment? How are you managing to get through it all right? And what impression are you getting off of Orlin?
Um, so I think Bella is fine in this kind of environment.
Hmm.
Um, more, more like a hole, a barrow, so more defendable somehow, less
Hmm.
surprise, and um, but still, um, it's not a pleasant, it's not a pleasant situation. It's not a
Hmm.
pleasant journey, and I guess there might be some kind of, unspoken vibe from Orlin, some physical and chemical um, response that Pela can sniff from
Hmm.
Orlin, and perhaps um, that keeps them some anxiety. I don't know. But they try not to think about it. They try to sniff around, look for clues as they always do.
Hmm. After you left the lungs, did the heartbeat that you're hearing, did it get louder or quieter?
Good question. I think it gets, I think it gets louder.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and it's
Perhaps
kind of a
a bit irregular.
yeah, and it's a little bit quicker too.
Mm.
Maybe originally you thought it was like maybe you're hearing the giant's heartbeat. You realize that would be much deeper and slower, and this one is a little bit faster and a little bit irregular, and it does feel like it's getting louder, almost as if it's getting closer, if that makes any sense. Um, so yeah, Orlin, as you're kind of pressing through here, um, some of the when you first entered, there was kind of like little, almost symmetrical little bone spurs on the sides of this passage. As it kind of closes in, the they start to jut out more into the passage, and you can see that some of them are actually they look like they've been broken off maybe by people who have come before you, or maybe just from age. It's hard to tell. Um, and it almost they're just bones, but they almost feel like they are kind of reaching for you almost as you pass them. Maybe it's just the claustrophobia getting getting closer in. How are you dealing with that pressing forward?
Um, I think he's trying to be careful,
Hmm.
but kind of a bull in a china shop kind of way. Like
Yeah.
the closer they get, the late like at one point he's just going to understand he can't really avoid it.
Hmm.
So he's just gonna hope his armor is well kept enough to protect him.
Awesome. Yeah, let's hope. That sounds like it's going to be a risk roll, actually. Just kind of pressing out through there. So let's do that. So what skill do you feel like is going to give you your light die for that?
I feel like persistence probably
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
best argument to make.
Hmm. Sounds good. Um, would you like to hear a devil's bargain?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Um, I think the clear one is that whether you make it through safely or not, it's going to snag some of your armor, and you're going to have to take it off to proceed. Pela, do you have any bargains you want to put out?
Yeah, I was thinking, since we established that these people are that lives or work here are follower or Lord Huffer,
Hmm.
there might be some kind of mechanism in these bones that trigger an alarm or
Mm.
something. So they somehow they're after us.
Ooh, yeah, I love it.
Restricted area.
Yeah. Either of those sound good to you, Arlen?
Yeah, kind of I like both. I really like the idea that he's going to have to lose his protection, like his armor. That he will because even if he's a big guy, it's like, oh, my armor will take care of it. So it would be interesting to see him lose that layer of comfortability, basically.
Awesome. Um, cool. And I think I don't know, are we risking body at this point? I think we are. I think the ribs are jagged enough to make this a problem for you. So, do you have the dice roller up?
Yes, yes, yes. So
Awesome.
two light, one dark. That's
Two
what I'm
light, one
reading from
dark.
that.
Yep.
That is a 5 dark.
Five dark. There it is. And we cannot re-roll that. So if your ruin is lower than five, it will go up by one.
So I go from 3 to 4 for anybody watching the video.
Yeah, cool. So you're both sitting at four right now. And there will be a complication. Tell me, uh, give me a couple pieces of armor that you have to take off, and like what you do with them, how they're left.
I I was thinking that he would have to like legitimately take his cuirass off his chest piece. It's
Hmm.
just too bulky. Maybe, whatever armor he's got, like his bracers or anything.
Hmm.
Um, but if he needs to do it because it's kind of a we're not turning back situation right now. Um, as proud of it as he is, in a case of survival, I think if he takes it off, he'll just kind of leave it behind him, just
Hmm.
on the ground, basically. And he'll be like, well, I can actually get a good new set of armor, as if I get to stay around forever and be immortal and just keep working and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Pela, how are you taking this when he's like removing layers of protection leading you on?
Freak out a little at the beginning
Hmm.
because I see Orlen get stuck in these bones shooting out from the wall. Uh, but I probably not making a big deal out of it, since I see it's just the armor. Uh, what was the point of it anyway?
Hmm.
And I'm probably too busy with this heartbeat in my head, which is
Right.
pounding even faster and harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean louder.
Yeah. And yeah, Orlin, you managed to not scrape yourself on these bones that are kind of like almost reaching for you, but you do feel you do get a taste of blood in your mouth, and you're not sure if it's because you uh, maybe you bit your tongue or your cheek, or your lip, while trying to like muscle through here. Maybe you inhaled a bit of blood, got some blood in your mouth from the walls. Um, what do you think that is?
Um, I almost think it's like it's a back of his mind thing right now.
Hmm.
Like he's not sure, do I taste blood?
Yeah.
Is it just that I've been in here too long? Uh, and so he's kind of like trying to play the leader, but also
Hmm.
like, doing that thing where you're feeling around in your mouth
Yeah.
or you're just like he's starting to kind of get a little worried
Yeah.
because he's like, well, I really hope that that's my blood that I
Hmm.
taste, if anything.
Yeah. It's just that like the wet atmosphere here. Yeah. Why don't you put a taste of blood in your conditions there? And I think because you've taken your armor off and you're kind of squeezing through here, your skin is being kind of stained this like deep red. But from the walls, it's like with stickiness, kind of almost like a red syrup, dark deep red syrup, kind of sticking to like streaking on your arms and your sides. Pela, as you're following along, um, you, I think it's maybe because Orlin is has less protection than he did before, but you're keeping a good eye out basically as you're going forward, both ahead and behind you. And even though you're smaller, and able to get around it yet, it almost feels like as you're kind of like going around one of these bones, you look back and it's a little bit longer maybe than when you got around it, almost as if it like tried to get you. But yeah, and as you're paying attention to this, you the heartbeat gets louder, and it almost sounds like you are hearing wet footsteps behind you. You don't see anyone yet, but it's just a maybe it's just a feeling like kind of up the back of your neck. Um, how do you feel about that, or
So
do you
not
do
too
anything?
good.
Yeah. Do you do anything about it,
I,
or just kind of keep it?
yeah, I think I'll try to signal Orlin about what I'm hearing, the
Mhm.
footstep behind me, and I'll try to keep him closer.
Yeah.
And also this thing about this um, piece of bone
Hmm.
seemingly moving behind me as I pass.
Hmm.
I think it upset me somehow.
Hmm.
So I'll try to. I probably get the idea in my mind that there's some sensible spot on the ground
Hmm.
where the skin is softer and there's more nerve and it
Hmm.
can sense my steps. And so I'll try to avoid it and I'll try um, to get Orlin to follow my steps,
Ooh, so you're
so to
gonna
speak.
take the lead there?
Yeah, I guess so. I'll
Awesome.
try.
Cool. I think this sounds like a risk roll as well.
Yeah,
Paths, I think, sounds right for your skill there. Does that sound good to you?
sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that will get you a light die. I don't think you're risking your body here. So would you like a devil's bargain for a second light die?
Yes, please.
Um, whether you're able to step safely or not, person who has been following you reveals themselves. Orland, do you have another bargain?
I that was mine. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Um, so I think I'll just double up on yours. Just basically give him one.
Cool. What do we think?
I like it.
All right.
So I'll take the bargain.
Cool. So that will just be
And
2 light dice.
yes. Double six.
Woo! Nice.
Whoa.
Can't get better than that. All right. So yeah. So you are definitely able to tread lightly. In fact, you see. You see almost these now that you're paying closer attention, you see almost these like ridged uh, areas on the floor. You're you're basically traveling up the spine, and so these must be some sort of like nerve ridges or something, and you avoid stepping on them, and it feels a bit more stable. Um, and as you make your way through, I think it's actually Orland that hears it this time, and uh, it's less of a sound than almost like again like your hair stands up at the back of your neck. Someone's too close to you, and you like when you whip your head around, you don't see anyone immediately, uh, but you kind of like adjust your gaze a little downward and to the side, and you see that the other lost child that you saw at the beginning has been following you, has kind of pressed itself against the wall. Um, it's gotten unpleasantly close to you without you noticing. I think it's probably used to maybe following people in here, uh, whether to ambush them or just uh, pick over them once they've left. And I think it has actually picked up a piece of your armor, and it's like way too oversized. It's kind of loosely dangling, and maybe that's what gave it away. Um, Baylor,
Um,
what do you do when you see this? Or I guess Orlin, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say he'll kind of I don't the way you've been describing it, it's not like I can really like turn on this person, right?
Mhm.
So,
It's kind
I
of like
think
making your way through brambles almost at this
yeah,
point.
I think he'll just um he'll turn around and basically just like speak at the person once he sees them, and he'll just say like what's the meaning of this in his big voice while he's kind of he's got his head turned one way, but he's pushing Pela a little bit because there's no way he's pulling out his weapon in here. He couldn't even if he wanted to. He might have a knife he could reach for, but there's no way he wants to fight
Mhm.
against a smaller opponent in this spot.
Awesome. Yeah, Pela, what's your reaction?
First thing, hissing.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And I think um, there's a moment in which I smell perhaps something that I smelled before, and so this sort of kind of recollection in my head.
Mhm.
You know, this is a familiar scent. I smelled it before a long
Mhm.
time ago, and so I stopped hissing, and even with Olin keeping me back, I'll try to approach, and
Mhm.
I guess Olin will see that I'm at ease. I'm comfortable somehow and curious, and I hope this lost child means no harm, and but perhaps they do.
um, yeah, I think it actually like their eyes go a little bit wider when Orlin turns to face them. Um, and when Pela approaches, you you get the feeling that they are they're very like intently focused. Um, it doesn't feel aggressive or dangerous, but they're just have their eyes really wide, and they kind of point past you at Orlin, and like go brush off, and they like look a little worried, and they're like pointing like where the blood has smeared, or the the view from the side of the walls has smeared on you, and they're like trying to pointing and brushing themselves off.
Yeah, if Pela's like a little more calm, or if I mean, to kind of appease this thing, he'll reach up and start doing the same, or like some how knights have like handkerchiefs or something like that, just
Yeah,
some equivalent of that. He'll try to like, yeah, okay, I'm doing what you're telling me to do.
yeah.
Keep everybody cool.
Yeah, I think once he sees that the blood is not yours, um, it's not necessarily relief, but just a shift of attention to to the walls, basically ahead of you, and you have really been paying close attention to the flesh. I think you've been more wary of the bones, and when uh, when the child kind of like grunts and indicates pass that way, um, you see that there like there's a piece of the wall where like a bone has shot across and pierced the other side, and around it you can see it kind of undulating and moving a little bit, and on closer inspection you can see that there are basically like maggots that are about 6 inches long, and they're not white, but they're the color of the walls, the red walls, and they're kind of like shooting at the sides of the wound there. uh, what would you like to do?
Um, Part of me wants to roll ruin for that.
That's how, yeah, that sounds about right. Let's go ahead and
So
do that.
I'll do that. That's this he can brave through a lot of stuff, but he is not a bug guy, I don't think.
Yeah,
That's a 3.
that's a
So
3. Yeah, yeah, maybe with the child's warning, like you brace yourself a little bit
yeah.
to see something over there. But when you turn your attention to them, they do. It's almost as if they whether it's they react to just being looked at, or whether they are kind of activated by just the warmth and freshness of your flesh. They don't jump at you or anything, but they some of them, they're chewing on the walls, but a bunch of them kind of like turn their little heads towards you, um, almost like they might have faces on them. It's hard to tell from this distance, but they look a little like they have like it's probably just the eyes and mouth like coloring and stuff. And some of them even have like little appendages as they're crawling around. Pela, how are you reacting to this?
Are they coming toward us? Or
Um,
just
yeah,
leaning forward?
the ones around the wound are just leaning forward, but as you kind of broaden your focus a little bit, you see that there are plenty more of them on the walls, and they are kind of making their way down the walls in your direction. Kind of, yeah. What do you do?
Yeah. So I guess it's a bit terrifying, but
Let's get a ruin roll from you too. I think that's
yeah, absolutely. And
pretty messed up.
also, I think I would keep an eye to the other child to
Mhm.
see their reaction. Is
Yeah,
this normal? Is this
I think they are watching. They are
um,
watching you to see like what you do. So
it's a
fun.
one.
Great, great. Cool. So your ruin does not go up.
Because in my head, I think that I may see in this child perhaps an additional guide. Perhaps they know the
Mhm,
place, they've been here before, they know what's going on,
mhm,
and they can lead us safely. Um, but they have their thing going on, perhaps, so
mhm,
they who knows where they can lead us.
mhm. How are the two of you reacting to the corpse maggots kind of coming down the walls towards you? They're not fast, but they are. It doesn't seem like there's any. It seems like they're all over the place.
I think that Bella will try to keep their distance,
Hmm.
and perhaps if everyone is on board, press forward and get away from these things
Hmm.
if they're not all over the place, and also along this kind of corridor.
Yeah. Orlin, what do you think about that?
Um, so given that it's the spine, I assume this is kind of a one way, like we're not
Yeah.
finding it. Hmm. Well, I'm still partially armored,
Hmm.
um, but not very happy about bugs. So, I think that the way he solves problems like these is I think that he will just like 100% just barrel through everything. He will just sprint straight through and just try to smush and break and whatever's in front of
Amazing.
all of
Uh,
us.
this is definitely going to be a risk roll. Um, destruction or strength seems like seems appropriate for your light die there. Um, I think you're definitely risking your body here, so that's a dark die as well. Um, a devil's bargain. Um, whether you whether you get through unscathed or not, you'll find some of these maggots have worked their way underneath your armor.
Oof.
Ayla, do you have anything?
There's too many of them. This is not a good devil's bargain though. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I was thinking what could go wrong,
Hmm.
uh, which in my head could be there's too many of them, so we need to slash through and
Yeah.
go, a sideway.
Ooh. Oh,
Um,
interesting. Okay, cool. Orlin, would you like to take that devil's bargain?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Cool. So that's two light dice, one dark die.
6 light.
Six light. Fantastic. Yeah, I think the child's eyes go like I don't think it is following you. It's just like watching you plunge yourself deeper in here. And yeah, bone shatters, uh, maggots squish underfoot. And as you're, I think as Pela, I assume you're following. I think Pela, as you follow, you almost hear like a like a mumbling, like this murmuration from the maggots that are getting denser on the walls. Um, and it's almost like you can hear uh, some familiar phrases or speech patterns. What do you recognize in this sound from the maggots?
It's like a couple of words or
Mm-hmm.
verses um, from an old lullaby,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps. You know, a children rhyme
Mm-hmm.
to get them to sleep.
Yeah.
Um, that I cannot pinpoint exactly, but it's in the back of my head, and
Yeah.
I've heard it before.
Yeah. Um, yeah. There's a verse in the lullaby that that sounds familiar, um, but you don't specifically remember. And it's bringing up memories that you don't feel are yours. Um, and it's almost as if they are kind of aligned with your desires to move forward, but there's a sort of regret or sadness that they uh, hadn't made it past this point. They, they're saying that you're pressing on further than they ever could, and yeah, it's just that this song in the back of your mind that reminds you of that.
I got something, perhaps,
Yeah.
and you can tell me if it's okay. Uh, could it be some also, you know, nursery rhyme,
Hmm.
which has this theme of uh, parts of the body falling asleep and
Hmm.
referring to stars in a constellation? I was thinking about the Azure archive. So in the drive as Azure, so the sky, perhaps a
Yeah.
constellation. And so some, you know, as above, so below. So this
Hmm.
giant um, parts of the body, parts of a constellation. I don't know.
I love that. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's really great. Um, yeah, and it's almost like as they fall asleep, like the maybe the stars have fallen, and only those who've made it, uh, who can stay up can have their names written in the archive. Only those who can stay awake forever can have their names written in the archive.
yes.
And of course, nobody can. So eventually, the child falls asleep. Um, great. Uh, Orlin, you've bashed your way through quite far, and have to take a little breather there, and you do find um, there's a you do feel this wriggling underneath your sleeve, and maybe if you when you go to look at it, You feel it on the back of your neck too, kind of working its way down. Who's when you finally like see the one of the maggots that's crawled up your arm, um, which of Haffer's men's face does it have?
Um, hmm. I wish I had my trophy book out. I would grab a name out of there. Um, but I want to say it's like a vassal or something.
Mm,
Somebody really big in his court. Maybe the person I served before I kind of split off from
mhm.
all that stuff. Uh, so I don't know if you've got a book opener, if you've got a name,
Yeah, I think
but
just their position is good enough.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's not only his name, but you see tiny tiny arms and legs on the maggot's body, kind of crawling. Like when when you're able to see it, it starts crawling closer to like crawling out and closer to your face. Um, and you see that it's not only has this face, but there's the teeth in it. When it opens up, the it's almost like we're zooming in on the mouth, and it has a hinged jaw that opens up much wider than a person's jaw should open up, with tiny teeth, like they're like little broken bones almost. And well, first, how do you react to that?
Um, I do think it might be time for another ruin roll.
Yeah, let's do that.
That's a 4.
So you're still
My
good
room is
there.
4, so I'm
Yeah.
okay.
And you, it almost sounds like it says your name. It doesn't come from its mouth. It's 6 inches long, but you can hear the words kind of cold in the front of your skull.
Um, yeah, I think he starts for a second, because he's still breathing heavy and uh as like a last little bit of reprieve, uh, he'll just kind of like squish it if he can grab a hold of it.
Yeah,
Just like a
yeah,
fuck you kind of thing.
yeah. You totally can. Um, and after squishing it to make sure it's it's dead, you notice that it has markings on it, um, some of which look like a sigil, maybe. If you want to hang on to it, um, you can take the higher sigil of yellow bile. And it's just
I will do that.
on its skin. But you still feel other ones crawling underneath your armor when Pela catches up to you. The other child has stayed, probably wisely, stayed far back. And Pela, you come across Orlin. You come up to him, panting, and he's got this maggot, this squished maggot that he's kind of staring at closely. What do you do?
I did I see the face of this maggot or
Um, I
just
I
the
don't think you did. I just
squished
the
body?
aftermath.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Still, I think I'd stop to try to ask in some way, Orlen, because I see him. His face is worried,
Hmm.
and like the face of someone that witnessed something that cannot be. And so I try to ask what's going on. In my, couple of words, and gestures put together. So you okay? And just sort of frowning. I don't know. I start to worry anyway. Are you okay, Orlin?
Yeah, I think that he doesn't respond immediately. He kind of is examining this thing. But he'll snap out of it and basically just lie and be like, "Yeah, these ah, I hate insects." And then you see him after he says he hates insects, kind of put the remains of this maggot away instead of just tossing it on the ground or anything like that.
I think I'd conclude you're just tired from the effort of pushing through all these marks and all these maggots, and so I'll say to you, you're doing good, uh, good job, strong, and move forward.
Nice.
And
Yeah, that makes him feel
yeah.
a lot better.
Is the lost child still with us?
No, they have stayed back. I don't think they come this far. I think they know better. So yeah, you have to duck under. Like you can tell there's like the vertebrae are getting smaller, and you kind of have to duck. Every time you do, it's like it's harder to kind of uncramp yourself. But eventually, you do find the end of the spine, and that will be the end of ring 3. Um, let's go ahead and take 5 here, and we'll hit the next ring. Cool. Alrighty. Ring 4, the aorta. The entrance to this part is very narrow, only a couple feet across, and you'll have to crawl one after the other. Who is going ahead?
I think that Kayla might be better suited to lead Orlin here. Not to throw you out in front or anything.
I was thinking the same thing. I guess given the cramped situation that we just went through, I try to again look for the right spot where to put my feet and try to lead on as carefully as I can.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, you're not able to walk at all. This is definitely a squeeze. It's very, very, very tight. Even Pela, you feel the walls kind of slick against you as you move, pull yourself forward. Uh, the wall is gonna even a more deep red, and I think before you get, either you get a dozen feet, you're both just slick with this kind of deep dark red blood. The walls um, are the same color, and they are kind of shot through with some like purples and blacks. Um, every once in a while, you see like a little flash of gold in there, even. And this is the most clearly like alive feeling part that you've been through so far. The walls definitely, like when you touch them to press forward, they do kind of shiver and contract a little bit, and but then kind of fold back in, kind of almost as if it's like feeling around on your body as you crawl through. Um, yeah, Pela, what part of your body do you hate or like the most?
Or in general.
What's that?
Right now,
Yeah,
or in
as you're
general,
right
as I'm
now,
current.
yeah, as you're crawling through.
um, I guess my feet and my hands.
Mm,
I really don't like the sensation, what I'm feeling with my touch.
yeah. Do you have bare feet?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. And as you're kind of pushing yourself through here, it's almost as if when you put your hands and feet down, the walls almost like come up and clasp them a little bit, um, almost as if they're like hanging on to give you better purchase, because the wall, it is very, very smooth and slick, and as you almost as you put your hand down, it doesn't fold all the way over your hand, but it's almost as if it's gripping a little bit, and it almost makes it easier for you to go through. Orlin, same question. What part of your body do you like or hate the most as you're crawling through here?
Right now I would have to say his chest he hates the most,
Mm,
just because he's just too damn big to be
yeah.
doing stuff like this.
Mhm. Yeah. And you don't have your hard armor on your chest piece
Yeah, it's
anymore.
like it maybe chainmail,
Hmm.
that goes underneath his plate, but also maybe just a like a little tunic or something like that.
Yeah. I think that's the widest part of your body, and it's almost as if the walls are. It's not squeezing tightly. It's not like constricting, but you can feel it almost as you move through, almost like testing, like as you exhale, and maybe it's a little bit harder to take a breath in, as I was trying to like see where the limits of your inhales and exhales are. Um, and I think that makes you very, very conscious of your breathing. Um, it's not hard to breathe, but you're very, very aware that you are breathing, and almost that it's if the walls wanted to, they could stop you from taking another breath as you go through. Um, and with that breathing, you start to you start to hear your own blood in your ears, and then a deeper rush uh, ahead of you, distant, like kind of thunder coming over the horizon, uh, that you feel like must be the giant's heartbeat, if you just get through here. Um, yeah, it's not only kind of constricting, it's also very, very warm in here. So it's the humid, hot air makes it even harder to breathe there. Um, Pele, have you ever been in a situation where you felt not safe but constricted like this?
I I don't think so. Not in this way. Probably Pela has spent some time in some cave, um, in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
squeezing through rocks and dirt.
Mm.
Um, but this is something different, since it seems so alive and so um, dangerous.
Yeah, and when you crawl through a rocky cave or press through dirt, it's very, very stiff and solid. Um, and again, like this is smooth and pliable and almost soothing, I think. And I think you start feeling um, that the when you took the liquid that made your body feel great before, that it's almost bringing up that sense memory, and kind of making you crave that again. Um,
So
yeah.
when you describe the sensation that I have on my hands,
Hmm.
as if uh, the flesh that I'm touching is trying to hold my hand, I imagine, and so try to keep me there as part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's comforting in a way, but it's also very very creepy, very dangerous.
Yeah. And I think at one point, it you go to take the next step, I guess. Um,
Mm.
but when you try to pull your hand away, it doesn't feel like it wants to let go. And you could almost like feel the tickle in your brain, um, that it wants you to give something up to move through here. What would you kind of offer the space to let you move through?
Um, what can I offer the space to let
Mhm.
me go through?
Yeah, what would you leave behind?
Oh, okay. Um, So I'm not sure that I have much in terms of objects. Probably
Would you give up your name?
yes. I was thinking about my something chemical like my scent or my
Ooh.
but of course it's absolutely related.
Hmm.
So also my name would be good.
Yeah, I think uh, it's not taking anything from you, but it's
Hmm.
all of these things are making you consider, as you move forward here, what part of you is moving forward and what part is staying behind. I think I'm going to ask for a ruin roll for that.
Five. And I'm at
5.
4. So I
All
go
right.
up.
Yeah, so it goes up. So that opens up the reduction roll for you. So when you mark 5 ruin, you can perform a reduction roll by acting in the forest's interest, destroying treasure, betraying or sabotaging your fellow treasure hunters, or interfering with rituals. You should try to be subtle so as not to draw attention. And when you do that, you can get ruin back. Yeah, so just keep that in mind as you're going forward. What as your ruin goes up, what part of you do you feel like belongs to the forest now, belongs to the giant now? What have you given up?
Um, I think um, whatever in me can be considered human
Hmm.
or civilized is I feel it somehow slipping away, and I leave it back for the moment. I may find it again somehow, um, but for now, this deep in the cavity of this giant, it's like, going back to my um, animal nature.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Orlin, as you move forward, it feels like Pela's going slower, um, and it almost feels, you've the taste of blood is definitely stronger in your mouth now. That it's all around you, and your hair and your face and your body is covered. It's no wonder that you have the taste and smell, and it almost feels, as you press forward, it at first it feels like the passage is constricting more, um, but I think more so you almost get the sense that you are becoming larger. It's not just a passage, almost as if your clothes, your pack, your whatever armor is left has becoming tighter as your body kind of swells almost, with this. Is it the taste, smell? It's hard to say. Um, what do you feel like you have to give up to move through this part?
Um, maybe a bit more material than Pele had to give up. I think that he has to lose kind of the rest of his plate to get
Hmm.
through here. So no more leg armor. I envision him as having kind of like one other bracer and arm
Hmm.
piece on, but that's got to go. So just basically got his. I mean, assuming I did have chainmail before, that might have to come off too.
Yeah, yeah, and even like as you take it off, you see that you kind of like have to take it off and then kind of like push it behind you, and you can see that you've been kind of leaving these scrapes, um, along the walls that are not gushing, but you can tell that it's seeping and almost splitting as you're going through. Uh, and you feel like the entire thing is almost reflexively trying to squeeze back in and to kind of compensate for the damage that's been done here. And as you look back, I think you pushing back on the wall that's like just right by your face is another it's another sigil that's scarred into the wall. It looks like that you can do something with or not.
Yeah, I mean, I still kind of assume I've got the last thing he's going to want to give up is his regular weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's also got like, a little hunting knife. So he'll etch that out, especially if Pele's being a bit slow, he's kind of right behind them. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that will get you the higher sigil of phlegm. And that's just on the piece of flesh there. And yeah, as you do that, the wall like recoils a bit, like almost pulling away from the blade. And when you grasp it, like you don't have to do any work hardly, as it pulls away. Um, you're just putting it in whatever pack remains.
yeah, I think so. There will come a time where he just stuffs all this onto his body, but it is not right this second.
Right. Yeah, Paley, you feel like you are making progress, even though it is slower. Um, and this it's getting so tight. This almost feels like a birth canal, kind of. What what do you imagine you will be born as when you emerge?
I would love to say a real child,
Mm,
but I guess the answer is the other way around. So probably some kind of beast.
mm,
Yeah, some kind of beast. I guess a dog.
mm. Interesting. Um, and as you feel like this is it must be getting close because the heartbeat you can hear the other one has kind of faded away as you've left it behind, and it's been replaced by this deeper kind of thunderous one. Feels very very close ahead of you, but the passage ahead is um, it feels like it's blocked by something. You try it, it's not like a sealed passage. You haven't reached the end or anything. It feels like something is lodged in it, and it's very close and dark. The texture of it feels rougher almost, a little bit hard if you try to grab it with your hands. But there's definitely something blocking the way here. Uh, and yeah, Orlin, Pela has stopped ahead of you. What do the two of you do?
I think Orlin would definitely kind of tap Pela to make sure they're okay if they stop.
I think they'll get a bit of a jump scare and a bit more feral as time goes by. But you can see that there's no way forward. So Pele is stuck, puzzled, and don't know what to do. Perhaps it's time. Perhaps trying to push the wall to scrape with your finger, but this doesn't get them anywhere. Perhaps it's time for a good slashing with an axe.
Yeah. Do you think I'd be able to maneuver that thing around in here?
I mean, I don't. You wouldn't be able to slash with it. You might be able to like,
Kind of push with it in a way?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, if there's enough space for me to get by wherever, like basically in a straight line wherever we're heading,
hmm
he'll kind of like slide his axe and push the blade against the wall and just start like shoving it basically.
What do you feel like might go wrong here when you push your axe through?
The first thing I think of is that I'm gonna open something up and fill all of this with blood.
Mhm. Kayla?
I was thinking the same thing, but also maggots.
Oh yeah, yeah. In Orland, you still got a few of them crawling around in there too, and you feel them kind of puffing up almost. Um, yeah. Um, I think destruction counts for this. Is definitely risk roll. I don't think you're risking mind or body yet. um, would you like a devil's bargain?
Yeah, that would be great.
Hmm. I I think that whether you are able to get through this without incident, one of the sigils has kind of slipped out of your pack and attached itself to you.
Oh, really want me to have those things on. I like that a lot.
You don't have to take it. Pela,
I
anything else?
Uh, Yours is wonderful, I think, but I cannot. When you slash through this passage on the other side, waiting for you, there's some followers of Lord Afir.
Mm,
Otherwise, it might be that the maggots that you squished cannot die. So it's still in your pocket and it's talking. And it's really convincing. And you start to doubt that Lord Afir is such a bad person, after all.
oh, those are all really good. Anyone sound interesting?
um just because I have three of these things, how about one comes out and yeah, sticks to me in some way?
Awesome. Cool. So you're rolling two light dice. Super easy.
That is a 5 light.
Has a 5 light. Would you like to add a dark die and go for a 6?
I'll take my complication, I think.
All right, cool. Um, great. So yeah, you're able to. It takes a while, and you kind of have to kind of dig and chip at it. And when you, you're up to your elbow with it, just kind of like reaching in there with the X, and you feel it give just a little bit, and warm liquid starting to ooze around your hand and up your sleeve. Um, and you can give it one last push and your arm kind of like goes through. And yeah, and you feel the warm blood rushing out down through across, down your arm, just splashing up on you. Uh, and as it like how, as it like hits your face, you're it's almost as if it feels very rejuvenating. And if you open your mouth and let some in, just it's kind of gross, but it also feels really good. Um, Yeah, pale of blood is just rushing out through the gap that Orlin has made. Um, and after a moment, it goes from a just like a stream to a torrent, as just the axe I think is stuck on the other side, um, and it's just you're almost drowning in blood as it's going over your face, and Paley can feel the passage starting to kind of fill up a little bit as it rushes through. What would you like to do?
I think my first instinct will be to jump on Orlan's back.
Mm-hmm. Great. I think that's when that happens, as you're kind of scrabbling. One of the sigils gets pulled out. Can you just roll a d6 for me? I guess make it
Yeah,
a
I'll just do a risk roll with a light die.
risk roll is good. Yeah,
I got a 1.
a one.
That's got to be
Great.
good, right?
Yeah. So I think it's the sigil of the black bile, which is kind of attached itself to your lower back as it is falling out, and as the as it touches your skin and the blood washes over it, it kind of like burns with a for after like a good exercise, like a good workout burn. It's kind of like this adrenaline. um, you have a new ritual now, called Black Bile. Uh, I'll put that in for you. There we go. That does this. Lets you crush a person's hope and take their strength for your own. And you definitely feel like the words, deep words, kind of working its way back up through your skull. I think that increases your starting ruin, just in case you ever make it back down. And yeah, you're finding it hard to breathe, but you're feeling invigorated, as Pela hangs on. I think this is worth a risk roll, or a ruin roll.
I got a 5.
A 5. That will also take you up to 5. Great. Um, how how do you manage to not drown in the blood? What do you kind of take into yourself? Well, how does it feel? Uh, this giant's blood kind of take you over something.
Um, I think that it started when he was kind of getting squeezed by the tunnel they were in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of controlled breathing, and you know, in a lot of his training, it was taught that battle is panic, so don't panic, that kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff. So when all this starts rushing over him, it's he is able to control his heart rate a lot more, control his breathing. So it's a kind of a like letting it pass kind of thing, or hoping it passes more or less.
Yeah, awesome. And it does eventually pass. It Some blood was backed up there, but it feels like there's a trickle coming out now, and you're able to kind of carve out the rest of this clot that was in your way, and squeeze your way through there. And that will wrap up ring 4. So we will just go into ring 5. Final ring, the heart. I guess this is a question for Orlin, since you're covered in it. What color is a giant wizard's blood?
So I think it doesn't stray too far from the oxygenated blood that we know. So it is red, but it's more vibrant, I think. It's almost arcane looking, I guess, if we look at it through the lens of this world. So it's like there's flecks of almost glitter in it.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, with a yeah, that's great. Um, so yeah, you kind of plop out into this chamber that is clearly the interior of a heart, and it's not just the uh, you know the motion of the walls um, slowly kind of grinding in and out. Um, there's also like the that sort of glitter blood hits both of you as you plop into it, and you're both just drenched in it as well. And as you kind of get your bearings and take in exactly what's going on, Palin, tell me more about your mother. What do you remember about her?
So I don't have any actual memory,
Mm-hmm.
just dreams, or dreams or vision
Mm-hmm.
in moments alone in the forest
Mm-hmm.
and the moments of need. And I guess I dream of a um, very young woman,
Mm-hmm.
with dark skin and dark hair, and this feral looking in her eyes,
Mm-hmm.
almost like a cat. She never blinks in my dreams or in my visions. When a cat always stares at you
Mm-hmm.
um, with big eyes, and but it's a very comforting image, and it's a very comforting image, and this somehow, because of some dreams or some delusion, I think Pella thinks that if they find this way to immortality, um, they'll of course, because it will be much easier, find their mother again and give it to them, and so they'll be immortal and together forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's between us with thought and a delusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think as the kind of the kind of that delusion dream goes on, that image of your mother kind of gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you feel yourself getting larger in your memories, and almost as if um, when when you left or she disappeared, it was basically because uh, you had taken on too much yourself. You have become too great yourself somehow. It's not necessarily your memory, but it's just this memory that's being kind of intermingled with yours, until you can't see her at all, and she just vanishes beneath like a canopy of forest. And Orlin, what was the like the last straw with Lord Hafer? Like, what was the thing that made you finally break and say, this is he's got to go?
I think it was something to do with um kind of managing land.
Mm-hmm.
So it was it's one thing just to collect taxes, but when you've got um soldiers occupying their own villages in an attempt to kind of corral the villagers themselves, that's when he started to really feel like it was too much oppression, and
Mhm.
he needs to find somebody that will uh help all these people that are being beaten down by their lord.
Yeah, and you feel that sigil of black bile kind of burning on your lower back there, um, and realizing that um, that gives you strength to fight back against him. And again, like these are memories that are again not your own, but that are kind of intermingling with that, and you kind of remember, uh, seeking more arcane knowledge like that, and uh, carving or inking more sigils onto your skin, um, and becoming stronger and stronger and fighting off more and more of his men, until you finally discover this higher sigil of the heart that gives you immortality, and you're able to just like stride across this battlefield and pick him up and just crush him in your hand. And as that memory kind of fades, um, the chamber you're in isn't huge. It's maybe 50, 60 feet across, um, but emblazoned on the wall opposite of where the two of you are kind of well dazed on the floor. Um, you see this sigil uh, on the wall. It is about the size of a man's chest. It is that same what the blood is flecked with. That's the color it is, and you can see it pulsing with the movement of the heart that you're in. It's clear that this is the thing that's keeping the giant, uh, you know, in whatever alive state that it is. What would you like to do?
Um, he will as like kind of shake off his daze and go straight for the sigil, especially after seeing that stuff in his head.
Mm-hmm. Halo, what do you do
Um, yeah, yeah.
as you see Orlin just bolting for it?
I think this might be the moment for a reduction roll.
What are you going to try to
But
do?
we are so we are both. I think we are both at 5.
Mhm.
So I have something in mind, but if you want to go ahead, um, um, if you have an idea or then for a reduction roll.
Yeah, so
I
for a
was
reduction
gonna-
roll, it should be something that the other one
Mm.
won't notice necessarily, and then the roll itself is to decide whether or not they do, and reducing. So, what were you thinking?
Because we are talking about dreams and visions, and I have a wonderful ritual, which is fantasy. So I can observe and alter the dreams of a known creature. And I think, let me know if it makes sense. If we exchange a glance, perhaps,
Mhm.
before Orlan rush into the sigil, Orlan would see Pela's eyes, as I described before, the eyes of their mother,
Mhm.
just like the eyes of a cat, or even an owl. So big, black, and fixed, and Bella will try to alter Orland's dreams
Mhm.
and to alter his vision so that he rush in another direction,
Mm.
um, away toward another artery.
Cool. Let's go ahead and do the reduction roll. So, you will roll one light die, if the roll is less than your current ruin, that betrayal will go unnoticed and you'll remove a ruin. Otherwise, you can decide whether or not to use the ruin, and if you do, they will notice the betrayal. So let's go ahead and roll that one die and see if it is less than 5.
5.
Oh, it is not.
Yes.
So you can choose to reduce your ruin and let Orlin realize what's going on, or you can not. And I think what him realizing,
I think that
it will be like
yeah.
he'll realize that you are trying to trick him into
Yes.
not going for the thing.
I think that I reduce my rune, and in hoping that Orlin might see it as the effect of my animal side taking over.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So take your
Perhaps
ruin
not.
down to 4. Yeah, so Orlin, you catch this glimpse of Pela's eyes, and have you seen Pela use that ritual before?
I even if he has, he wouldn't remember, and he wouldn't think that she would or they would use it on him. So he
Yeah.
doesn't have any inkling that that's what's happening at
Yeah,
first.
well, and then you see the eyes go black and cloudy, and almost start to see Pela as a kind of some sort of dog or owl or something, and you realize that is they're trying to put the whammy on you. That like this is the point where they have turned on you. They've used you this entire time to push forward ahead of them and take all the scratches and damage. And at the last minute, they'll stab you in the back and take it for themselves. How do you react to that?
This is going to, especially rules wise, be a little bit interesting because I think that when he starts to realize that that's kind of happening, and then he kind of sees Pela as more like, like an animal in a way. He'll reach back and he'll pull one of the other sigils out of his bag, almost like you would like a treat,
Like
you
a
know what I
treat.
mean? And then when they're looking at it, he'll just like pull it apart, tear it up. He's like, "Is this what you want? You want power too for yourself? Then I'll destroy all this stuff that you want so bad."
Nice.
So I don't know if that's worthy of a reduction roll because I'm
Ooh, yeah, absolutely.
definitely like there's no way they're not going to notice it even if I, roll lower.
Yeah, go ahead and take the roll. We'll see how it goes.
I rolled a 4.
A 4. That will take you down to a 4. And I think in the in the context of the reduction roll, I think that means that I think Pela doesn't realize that's what's going on. Like you're destroying
I
this
could be
sigil
trying to tell them
is
it's dangerous.
yeah, maybe
Like,
they
no, you
receive
don't
that
want
message
this.
differently. Yeah, but you're actually like removing things that could help. Yeah, cool. And I think as you do that, one of the maggots has kind of crawled up, like its little mouth up to your ear, and it's just whispering, take take what's yours, and you can free us all from the tyranny.
Yeah, depending kind of on actually no, I don't think he would wait for a response from Pela. I think he would kind of tear it up and throw the skin pieces at them and then make his make his way to this giant sigil on the heart with his either his knife or his axe in hand, whichever one would be more suited.
Cool. Yeah. So Orlin is carving that sigil off, probably to take it for himself. Bela, what do you do?
I think Pela realizes that they cannot beat Orlan in fight for sure. So I guess it's question to either stick around and find a moment to snatch his sigil when Orlan is sleeping. So I guess that I'll follow Orlan to the sigil and trying to show the more dog companion side Thela and supporting Orlan. And also, I guess Pela is also the feeling that something might go wrong, perhaps. And so just watching out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it takes a bit of work. You're able to peel that sigil off. And you feel like you can feel it like the other ones you did not feel. You can feel that power kind of just coming off it. And when you get it off, there's like a breath, and the walls shudder and are still. And it feels like it's almost gotten just slightly darker in here, and you hear a groaning from all around you. What do the two of you do?
Oh, he is emboldened by his flame of ambition, as I would say, because I just played Elden Ring not that long ago. And he will just put it right on his chest immediately. Like tear open his shirt. It goes right on as soon as he pulls it off the wall.
Halo, what do you do as he tears his shirt off? You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I guess I go all in and try to snatch it from Orlan.
All right. This sounds like a contest roll then. When you're acting against each other, competing, let's build some dice pools for y'all. So what's at stake is who's going to get the sigil. Is it going to get snapped on or is it going to get snatched? Take a light die if your occupation or background gives you an advantage. Pela, what do you think your occupation or background might give you?
I'm not sure. Perhaps hunting
We do hunting.
to
Gotta be fast.
snatch something on the fly.
Yeah. Orlin?
I think persistence, strength. If it's going to be a fight, destruction.
Yeah, nice. Which one of those would you like to focus on?
Oh, my Zoom is crashing. 1 second. There are two of me again. Yay.
And there we go.
I think that I'm trying to like he's pretty, I guess hurt would be the best way to describe knowing that they tried to use like magic on him to deceive him.
Yeah.
So I'll say destruction.
Nice. Cool. So that's one light die each. You will also get one light die for each mark of ruin you currently have. So that'll give you 4 each, giving you 5 each. So it sounds like the contest is inherently dangerous, at least from from Pela's side getting destructed. So each one of you will be rolling 5 light die, 1 dark die. You can also add as many dark dice as you like. We're looking for high dice here. Any dark die that comes up a 1, you will take a ruin. But you can add as many dark dice as you want. So go ahead and put your dice 5 light, at least 1 dark, and then as many dark as you want in your contest roll. And when we are good for that, we will both roll together. Are we good to go?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I
Okay.
add a couple of dark die since this is a
Yeah.
very Smeagol moment.
Cool. Both hit roll. See what happens.
That's 2
Ooh.
ruin for me.
Yeah,
That's
that is 2
I can
ruin,
see.
and
Okay.
yeah. Otherwise you would have won the contest.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you go to 6, Pela goes to 5, and yeah, it sounds like Pela snatches it. What so for each point of ruin, um for each point of ruin, no, we don't need to go conditions for that. So Pela, tell me how you snatch it. Tell me what that looks like. And work your, how does your 1 ruin help you?
Um, so for sure, my 1 ruin is a symptom of my slipping again into my
Beast mode.
yeah, uh, and and coming back to the image, the cat. Um, I guess I simply jump as high as I can, snatching this sigil, probably with my mouth, because I'm using both my hands and my feet to as a springs for this jump, and probably giving a little kick to Orlan for unbalancing, and landing on the ground as running as fast as I can in the direction that I feel safer.
Are you putting the sigil on, or are you just taking it and running?
I think I just take it and I run
Okay.
for the
Um,
moment.
yeah. So Orlin, what is preventing you from following?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? My
What's
Zoom crashed.
what's preventing you from following?
Um, the way I kind of viewed it, was he is like wholly and utterly defeated. You know, he's been beaten down through this whole thing, kind of in Pele's stead. And then once that thing's taken, especially after the vision he just saw, it's like a drop to your knees and exclaim kind of moment, because he's not going to catch Pele if they run away. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and if you're squeezing out through the way you came in, actually, that's a good question. Pale, are you squeezing out through the aorta that you came in, or are you leaving a different way?
I feel so bad right now. I think I'm looking for another way.
Ooh, okay, cool.
So
So yeah, so you dive out another, another artery or vein, whichever one it is, and I think since the giant is no longer kept alive by the sigil, uh, the the openings start to collapse after you, and Orland is kind of trapped in the heart as it starts to just shrink in on itself. Um, what's the what's the last image we get from Orland as everything goes dark?
I think that he kind of stays on his knees. Oh yeah, I could make this really good. He's like crying out for Pela, like apologizing, like a Boromir Frodo kind of
Yeah,
situation. And that's the
awesome,
last thing. You just hear his voice get quieter and quieter as the camera keeps on Pela as they run away.
nice. Um, So I guess the last questions are, Pela, do you put on the sigil before you exit the giant, or do you try and hang on to it until after?
I think as I hear this cry from Orlan, um, all the memories flood back of our adventures together,
Mhm.
and perhaps there's even something that clicks between my dreams and my memory. Some feminine aspect of Orlan that I hadn't noticed before. And as this speck of humanity that I left behind before catches back to me, I run back, screaming the only word that I can remember, sorry, and perhaps even try to tear in this sigil in two, so that we can both have it. And
Ooh.
but perhaps it's not a good idea. But Pela doesn't know better, and
Let's let me let me get one last ruin roll from you.
mhm. 3.
Cool.
So I'm good.
I think the sigil will not tear no matter how hard you try.
Mm.
But as you're kind of like again like squeezing your way out through this other vein, it's the smell of decay almost like hits you like a wave as you're trying to exit, and you feel the entire thing starting to come just to fall apart around you, and you are pretty deep in. If you put the sigil on, you will be able to make it out. Otherwise, you'll probably be stuck in there.
It's both way are interesting.
Mhm.
What do you guys think? We can have this tragic ending with both
Yeah,
heroes die in the
yeah, just
collapsing
the
giant,
mountain collapsing on you.
or the sacrifice of Orlin was not in vain, and Pela perhaps can find his mother.
Yeah, that's up to you.
Um, let's go with the whole sacrifice, whole tragic ending. So Pela is panicking, so
Like trying to make your way
they don't
back
know
to.
better. They don't understand. They seek this thing. They've been seeking this thing this whole time, but they don't understand the real,
Mhm.
significance. What is about scripture and sigil, and for Pela, the important things are eating and hiding.
Mhm.
And so as they're panicking, they probably take the wrong turn, and ceilings of bones and blood are collapsing upon
Mhm.
them. And the last image that we see is the small hand grasping the sigil, as the sigil floats on the ground and attach itself again to
Mm.
another spot on this giant.
Mm.
Or perhaps another small child is passing this way and picks it up.
Nice. Cool.
It's that one small child from earlier that was
Yeah.
following.
Yeah.
Got my thing. Just gonna put it in my bag. Forget about it. Great, cool. And that is the Giant's Carcass. Hooray! We did a trophy dark. um, awesome. Let's wrap up with Stars of Wishes, and let's start with Michaela.
Yeah. So it's been real fun. I guess it's a very gory and bloody incursion, and
Mhm.
I like that very much. And also these moments of claustrophobia, also very interesting. And and it was very cool. It was very fun. And also, there's this moment of I love the things that came up. For example, the nursery rhyme, the lullaby. It was like a moment of realization of so that's the meaning of the Azure archive for me. And so I guess everything unfolded about the drive, the Pelas drive, from that moment. And I guess the aorta was probably the best moment. Also the maggots. The maggots were in the spine. The spine was also great. I love the Orlan moment with this maggot, and also when you crush it and put it in your pocket. Very cool.
Awesome. Billy.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I've played with Mark a lot, so I was really interested to see how you would go with Giant's Carcass, and I had a ton of fun. The maggot bit was probably my favorite. Um, and you did a really good job with the ramp up, like just between 4 and 5 even.
Yeah.
It was so good. And it kind of like I was a lot of the way looking for a reason to, kind of start getting adversarial. And especially as the walk into 5, it like set me up perfectly basically. And then um you did such a good job describing everything. And Michele, you did such a great job like taking the first stab more or less, because it made me more comfortable, like, oh, okay, cool. This, because I feel like Pela would have been the first to like kind of, lash out a little bit, and then it gave Orlin the push that he needed. So I think it all worked out really well. And if anybody that's played with me knows that I don't give a shit if my character dies. They're like stolen cars to me. So it was a ton of fun just to kind of have that happen, and it felt very, sad and organic, no pun intended. So it was just a ton of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a good time with this one. This is the first time I've run this one. It's super gross. I love it. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of there's not like a ton of stuff in the incursion, just kind of like impressions and stuff to go off of. So it feels like more work than some other incursions, but it's really fun to like come up with all the different ways to kind of fuck with the adventures in there. I really love the like the dynamic that you two set up is so much fun, and it was just like so uh, just a wreck, like watching it fall apart at the very end there. Like, oh, maybe they'll, I don't know, maybe they'll figure it out somehow. No, they never do. And yeah, the tragic ending is great. I just love the like can't get out of the collapsing giant that you killed. Um, the aorta, I think, is one of my favorite parts. It reminds me of the creature tunnel in Nope, kind of just like crawling through that really tight space there. Um, yeah, great. You two are super fun to play with. So every time, uh, yeah, good time. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I hope I this is a selfish thing for me, but I hope that you decide to run a trophy gold game I can play in someday, because that
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
yeah. Trophy Gold is sweet. I run it yet? I've played it a bunch. I don't know if I've run it yet. Maybe once. Yeah, I definitely want to try and do something with that next year. So I'll be on the list. Cool. Anything else before we wrap it up?
I thought that about conflict, I feel the same way because I took the first step because I guess it was due time. But I think I have a sweet spot for when the characters get along so well together, and so it's tearing me apart that they have um, to fight and get in conflict. But that's the beauty of Trophy Dark, and it's it's a very interesting incursion also because, as you said, there's not much, not many obstacles per se.
Yeah.
So it feels like a journey through this body. Very visual.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah, and running for two people is so much different than having like a gaggle of 4 treasure hunters. It's such a different dynamic. It's really neat.
Yeah, I think that that's what really let us kind of make those characters super close, is that there was only just the 2 of us.
Yeah.
Awesome. If there's nothing else, I'll stop the recording. Goodbye to anyone who's watching.